Hey, Vinyl community, Jeff here. Got a couple records that came in today. Figure I would do a quick video and show these. Excited to have these. I was never as familiar with this band, and so when these reissues came out, I jumped on them because I kind of wanted to build up the collection because of what I have heard. Anyway, I'm talking about the new reissues of Britny Fox, for one. This is their third album, Bite Down Hard. You know, they were a Philadelphia band. They started in 80, well, their first album was like in 88. They had some stuff out in 87, but their first real commercial release was 88, and they had an album in 89, and then they changed singers and put out this one in 91. But anyway, I wasn't really listening to that type of music back then, so I never bought them back in the day. And so I did not have any of these back in the day. Over the years, I've picked up digital versions, you know, through various means. But never owned any of the stuff. Now, 2 years ago at my local store, they had a copy of the Boys in Heat album, still sealed and everything, and I showed it in a video probably 2 years ago if you want to dig back and see. And so that was my first foray into Britny Fox physical. This would have been the other singer. Like I said, first two albums with one singer and then changed on this one. And, you know, I will say that this to me sounds a little more mainstream as far as singing goes. This is right in that sweet spot of bands of that era. You know, the slightly gruffer, bluesier vocals. I mean, they were great. It's just two different feels. And I think I really dig this album. I've given it a spin. Sounds great. I'll tell you the worst thing about it, and I use the term hate too strongly. This is back cover, by the way. These albums that come in these paper sleeves, you know, they're beautiful, they're thick, they're nice. Man, they suck when it comes to static. I wanted to do a video. I thought about doing a video of the troubles of getting it out of here because you can't pull these out. You feel like you don't want to grab much of the record. You can't really get your hand there to pull it out. It won't come out. These things are like glued in there. I ended up having to take a piece of paper and slide it in there to break the tension between the two, to give me the strength to pull it out. And as you're doing it, you're splitting the seams and stuff, because when you pull it this way, anyway, just frustration. Anyway, it's on this cool splatter. Once I finally get these out, then I insert into the paper sleeve one of the inner poly lines. So I take the poly sleeve, which is why I buy these poly ones that have the curve at the bottom, because they slide in here without folding up or crinkling up. I slide that into the paper sleeve, put the album in there, and then it's perfect. I do that for almost every album I get with the paper sleeve of any kind that's not polyline. But come on, people, in this day and age, polyline them. These paper sleeves are ridiculous. And when it comes to these that are like this, they are so staticky, it's even more ridiculous. It was a pain in the butt to get that out. But anyway, so yeah, we're going there, and so now I'm on the lookout for, you know, other Britny Fox albums. Like I said, I want to get the first one, then I'll have the first three, and then they had a couple more after that. The other reissue, same label, is Baton Rouge. Now this is the first time on LP in the US. 1990 debut, magenta vinyl, limited to 2,000 copies. I was absolutely 100% unaware of who this band was. Actually, when I saw that it was coming out, I recognized that it obviously was a band in that time frame that I definitely missed out on, but of the same nature of songs and style that I would have enjoyed. So I went online real quick, checked them out, and I said, yeah, definitely. So I went ahead and pre-ordered this. Again, totally unaware of who they were back in the day. They ultimately had 3 albums out, it looks like, or, you know, 90 and 91, and then they did something in 97. So again, they weren't even on my radar back in the day at all. Again, sort of, I was out of this style listening at that point. So now, interesting, same label and everything, but in this case, just a white generic sleeve. Again, not polylined. Is it really going to break the bank to put a polyline sleeve in there? I need to ask one of my record friends who makes records, how much of a difference in cost? Because it just seems like it's crazy that they don't at least do that. Anyway, there's the back there. And I listened to this, yeah, and it's great stuff. So that was great, and those came in actually just today, and I've listened to them both, and I really enjoyed them. The other one that came in, this came in a couple of days ago, is the new album by Fear Not, Fields of Sorrow. See that all backward there. Now, if you're not familiar with Fear Not, this album They're one of those bands that came out like in the 80s and then was it 90s? Came out in the early 90s and then disappeared and then they came back. And this is their first full-length album since returning. I'll go into the pre before that. But anyway, so, you know, classic. It's like a hard rock band. This thing is loaded. It's got 6 songs on side 1 and 6 songs on side 2, including 2 bonus tracks which were on the CD. And just good hard rock, you know, take an 80s band and put them in the future and make them into a hard rock band. You got the insert with some pictures and some lyrics. It's on black wax. Oh, but look, polyline sleeve. It's on Rox Records. Come on, do it right, people. Follow what Rox does. So, real briefly, Fear Not put out this album in 1993. Fear Not. Take that out of there for you. And then this was actually reissued on vinyl in 2017. So this is a vinyl reissue. They changed up the logo, redid the graphics, and put this out. Now, at the time of this album, we had the vocalist was Larry Worley, and I really dig his vocals. I really dig this album. This is just it's one of my high watermark anthem of that type of, you know, metal of the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, that kind of melodic. When I say melodic, it's not harsh, you know, it's got the soaring vocals. Anyway, Larry's vocals, I've always loved his stuff. And so, obviously, you know, when this came out, when this was reissued, I was thrilled to have this. Great stuff. Okay, band disappears, blah, 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 as all bands do. 2019, they come back. It's got a couple of the original members, but in this time, Larry's not singing. He's just playing guitar. And they got a new singer. And they put out like an EP in 2019. And I believe the label sent me the digital tracks. And, you know, call me whatever, but I didn't like it in the sense that I was too stuck with, hey, Fear Not is supposed to have Larry on vocals. I love Larry's vocals, and he wasn't on there. And so it was a turnoff. I didn't even judge it based on the music. I was just judging it based on Fear Not. And that's what I think a lot of us can get into. And I know I've done it before, but and not accepting a band for where they are, but looking for where they were. And sometimes when a band changes singers, it becomes hard for some bands to get over it. And then they, you know, you've got the whole Van Halen stuff. Every band that's done it has gone through it. Britny Fox, they changed singers, you know, and I know there's people that hate one or the other. So I just I didn't buy the Fear Not. I listened to it a few times. People were ranting and raving about it. I never could really get into it in the sense, so it kind of was like, whatever. And then I kept seeing the pieces of this coming forward. I watched one of the first videos, not that it sounds very much like the EP. Then I guess at some point, I don't know if it was before or after I bought it, but the label sent me the digital tracks, and I gave it a spin all the way through and fell in love with it. And again, maybe I'm finally accepting the fact that it's just, you know, the same progression of where the band is. And I loved it. And so I immediately, when the vinyl was announced, I immediately jumped on the vinyl. Then I've continued to listen to the digital tracks. And then I realized, you know, I need to get this in all formats. And so a couple weeks ago when I placed an order for something else, actually I placed an order for this on CD and something else, I bought the original 2019 EP on CD because I better have a physical copy. I never bought the original one. So yeah, this has grown to me into, you know, it's a killer band. I just have to get out of the phase of what they were in the 90s where, you know, it's a different style. But still, great stuff. Powerful vocals, powerful guitars, just, you know, really good. They have a song on here, totally out of the ordinary. It's this bonus track, God's Country. And I will say, fallen head over heels in love with that album, that song. That song, it's a bonus track, and it's nothing else like the band has done. Very, very, well, God's Country, it's almost got a country feel. I would say more closely southern rockish, even though it's a California band. More of that. Very much sounds like something that could be off of a Skinner or anything that the Van Zandt brothers did. That style, like a modern rockin' country or a modern southern rock flair. Later Skinner. And like I say, the Van Zandt brothers have done some albums which are really bordering country, but have a rock flair to it. And that song just, it fits right in that sweet spot for that. And it's every time I get to that song, I just love it. It's a great song. You know, when I get buried and put me in a box or a casket or whatever and bury me in God's Country. It's just great stuff. So, yeah, this album has really swayed my view on Fear Not's past album, and I did buy it, and I am listening to them more and more. Yeah, you know, great stuff. So if you haven't heard those three, the two of them are reissues, one's a brand new album. Definitely jump on the Fear Not. It is one of the Rocks 100, meaning that they should only have 100 of them on vinyl. CDs available on everything, rocksrecords.com. Go grab one. Thanks for watching. I'll be back. Got some other things, but, you know, we'll cover those later. Rock on and rock hard.